These Welsh hills have been freed from the sights and sounds of the coal industry, but now the hum of heavy machinery once again fills the air. This is Fos-y-Fran, Britain's biggest open-cast coal mine. Over the next 17 years, 11 million tonnes of coal will be dug up here. The mine's just a stone's throw from Merthyr Tydfil, but despite a tireless prevention campaign from some residents who cite unbearable air and noise pollution, mining finally began in earnest here last year.
20 years ago, when mining was still very much in force in the valleys, we would have jumped at the chance, but we've learned to live without coal mining. Our air is clean, our grass is greener. We've learned to live without it. We don't want it.
But the company behind Fos-y-Fran says the site will provide much needed local employment. In fact, officially, it's a land reclamation scheme. And Miller Argent says digging out the coal will transform derelict, unsafe land without the need for public money.
What they are getting for the benefit of the people of Merthyr is about 1,000 acres of reclaimed land for the enjoyment of generations to come. That is the key benefit. You know, it is the coal that's paying for that as part of the price, and also the sales of the power station. So there's two different questions.
The protests over open-cast mining aren't just confined here to Fos-y-Fran. Concerns over climate change have seen environmental campaigners descending on coal-related sites across the country. Their aim to try to stop a resurgence of the UK's coal industry.
Fos-y-Fran is one of 35 so-called surface or open-cast mines either in use or being planned in the UK. With gas prices high, the government seems determined to use the coal that's currently sitting in the ground. But environmental groups who've targeted sites say burning the UK's coal reserves will jeopardise the fight against climate change.
We're already potentially on our way to runaway climate change simply from the emissions we've already got in the atmosphere. So to be putting more out while just talking about maybe addressing this problem sometime in the next 20 years is ridiculous. We need to do something right now.
When burned, the coal that will come from Fos-y-Fran will produce 30 million tonnes of carbon dioxide. But with energy security and climate change now battling for supremacy on the government's agenda, South Wales is not the only place where a new coal front is opening up. Catherine Jacobs, Sky News, South Wales.
There is a huge police operation going on here at Kingsnorth Power Station because at the moment the main march has reached the power station. It did so peacefully, heading down from the camp where they've been all week. However, there have been some nasty scenes actually with some of the protesters who were part of what they call an affinity group or a breakout group and managed to escape from the main march and head off through fields to try to reach the power station to try to avoid police. And we've seen pictures of protesters being hit with batons by police when they tried to head off through one particular field. Some arrests in that case were made. Now, I understand the latest is that one protester did actually manage to scale both the perimeter fence and also the next electrified fence, which the company behind Kingsnorth, E.ON, have put in place to try to prevent any of the protesters reaching the coal-fired power station today. I understand that lone protester was arrested as soon as he got over.
Despite the immensely tight security, though, some did get through. Their aim? To say no to a new power station at Kingsnorth. Here, some determined protesters managed to use one of the outer fences to scale another. The electrified fence had, at this stage, been turned off. A number of people did manage to get onto the site, but they were immediately arrested.
Once again, you know, the police have said there was going to be violent troublemakers here, and once again, no, there's just been completely non-violent people getting into the power station, causing a bit of disruption, getting some boats on the water, blocking the coal ships. It's been a fantastic day, and it shows how strongly people feel about this issue and how frustrated and angry they are about plans to build a new power station here.
Around 1,000 people are estimated to have taken part in today's protest. Just after 9 this morning, the main march left the camp, heading off towards their target. For the most part, it was peaceful.
Well, the protesters promised they'd converge on the power station by land, sea and air, and while a handful of campaigners did manage to scale at least one of the fences of Kingsnorth, ultimately their aim of trying to shut the power station down wasn't reached.
These protesters are part of a group called the Great Rebel Raft Regatta. They intended to sail down the Medway to Kingsnorth Power Station, though this group didn't get very far. There were some arrests. All week, policing at the camp has been extremely heavy. On Monday, police dressed in riot gear clashed with protesters. After trying to gain access to the site, they made a number of arrests, though they denied their actions were excessive.
What we want to do is to facilitate lawful demonstration, but our overarching aim, and I've been consistent on this all week, is to ensure the safety of everybody. That's the protesters, the residents of the Hooghly Peninsula and the police, and we've achieved that very well.
Today, many protesters leaving the site were questioned and searched, leading to some angry scenes. Up to 1,400 police officers faced the activists today from 26 forces across the country. While they and the energy company E.ON always said they were confident the extra security measures would ensure the protesters wouldn't get through, today's direct action has at the very least highlighted the strength of feeling on the camp against new coal in the UK. Catherine Jacobs, Sky News, Kent.